If you were to put a gun to my head and ask me who I thought the most underrated video game developer and publisher of the 90s was, my answer would be LucasArts. And I know what the elite ball knowers among my viewers are saying right now. Steve, you're a fucking idiot. How can LucasArts be underrated when they were the undisputed kings of the point-and-click graphic adventure genre, which was at the peak of its popularity in the 90s? And that is exactly my point. LucasArts absolutely killed it when it came to point-and-click graphic adventures, not just in the 90s, but the 80s as well. Shovelware Online could have learned from their quality over quantity approach. But LucasArts did so much more than just that one genre, and their innate ability to take on seemingly any style of video game other than the one-on-one fighter, and not just do it competently, but make a genuinely great game in the process is something people don't give them nearly enough credit for. First-person shooters were among the many genres LucasArts competed admirably in, with Outlaws, Jedi Knight, Mysteries of the Sith, and of course, the subject of today's video, Dark fucking Forces. We'll be playing it through the Force engine, an open-source reverse-engineered version of Dark Forces' engine, sporting many quality-of-life features you'd come to expect from a modern game, most of which I won't be using. Dark Forces is an easy game, even on hard difficulty, and while I do subscribe to the belief that just because a game is easy does not mean it is bad, I am still electing to handicap myself for no other reason than I think it's funny. Dark Forces has always supported mouse look. The DOS version operates horizontally, while the Mac version supported full vertical aim, albeit with an inverted Y-axis you can't flip. You don't know what strange is until you've played an FPS with inverted vertical aim on a mouse. Very fucky-wucky. I shall not only be foregoing mouse aim, but keyboard as well. That's right, I will be playing on controller this time. One of these bad boys to be exact. Relax, these are my OG controllers from '96. They got Mario Party 1 to death a long-ass time ago. I treat them like corpses because they are corpses. Contrary to what the ill-informed have to say, these are not bad controllers. The presence of only one analog stick is down to the fact that 3D was new and nobody knew what the fuck they were doing. Nothing rings more true to that than the fact that the PlayStation 1 had no analog sticks at launch and didn't get any for almost 3 years. That's right, the Big N beat Sony to analog controls by almost a year and a half. So if I think these controllers are the cat's meow, then why the hell do I consider them a handicap? Because I am a 1.1 Neanderthal who never evolved into a 1.2 human being. Those of you who are big into GoldenEye and Perfect Dark know exactly what I'm talking about. In Control Style 1.2, the C buttons move and the thumbstick aims, effectively the modern two-stick control of console FPS. Conversely, in Control Style 1.1, the thumbstick moves you forwards and backwards and turns you left and right, like Resident Evil tank controls, while the C buttons look up and down and strafe left and right. So through the power of my RAFnet N64 to USB adapter, the Force engine, and Steam inputs, my control scheme is as follows. GoldenEye Perfect Dark 1.1 control style for moving and aiming, Z for primary fire, A for jump, B cycles through weapons, R is my use key and sprint key, down C while holding R to toggle crouch on and off, up C while holding R to auto recenter view, B while holding R to cycle backwards through weapons, and the D-pad for headlamp, night vision, gas mask, and auto map. All of that with auto aim turned off, and I'll be playing on hard, which has more enemies, less health and shield items, and fewer extra lives lying around. We assume the role of former Imperial officer turned rebel-adjacent mercenary Kyle Katarn, who's just accepted a mission from Mon Mothma. Part of Operation Skyhook, we'll be doing a one-man assault on a secret base to steal the Death Star plans. We're armed with only a Briar pistol, but quite literally, right out of the gate, we get our hands on an E11 blaster rifle. The E11 is the main workhorse of the game. It shares an ammo pool with the pistol, but has a much higher rate of fire. Despite dealing the same per-shot damage, it consumes double the energy units per shot and is horrifically inaccurate at range. It's fine though, because all the main baddies you'll be facing drop energy ammo when they die, so you'll rarely be running dry. Speaking of baddies, we meet the main cast of them right in level 1. Imperial officers, stormtroopers, and commandos. Effectively the same enemy, they're all equally aggressive, suffer from stormtrooper accuracy, have the same damage output, and drop 15 energy ammo on death. The only real difference is health, with each one having more than the last, 10, 20, and 30 respectively. Most weapons in this game deal 10 damage per shot, but it's not quite 1, 2, and 3 shots to kill, as damage fall off over distance is a factor that creeps up quickly. We need to head outside to another building where we blast Homeboy for his red key. This is very much a 90s FPS, so key and switch hunts are a thing. Nothing too grotesque or complicated though. With the red key, we can access the second floor of the first building, which allows us to hop around and reach a secret third building containing night vision, which will be helpful in the coming levels, as well as an extra life. There's no saving in this game. You get a mission select screen and checkpoints within those missions. Whenever you buy the farm, you lose a life and respawn at the most recent checkpoint with the state of the mission intact. No progress lost outside of having to retrace your steps. We meet the interrogation droid here, packing accuracy that makes stormtroopers look goated with the sauce. The most dangerous thing about them is their melee attack. It only deals 5 damage, but that's damage that bypasses your shields and goes straight to your health. So keep your distance. Anywho, we make our way to the basement where we steal the Death Star plans and then take an elevator to the roof for extraction. We hand the plans off to someone else and a game of hot potato takes the plans all the way to Princess Leia and the Death Star eventually goes boom. We've handled our role in Operation Skyhook so well that Mon Mothma wants to hire us again to put an end to the Dark Trooper project, the brainchild of Imperial General Rom Mak, greenlit by Darth Vader himself. It was just successfully tested on a thought-to-be secret rebel base, where totally not General Akbar and his friends got caught with their pants down and smoked in record time. Katarn agrees to take the assignment, requesting his girlfriend, Jan Ors, be his handler as opposed to Mon Mothma, and then we jet off to Talay. We're dropped off in the city, a ways away from the base. The Dark Troopers have spared no one in the surrounding area, and have Uncle Owen and Aunt Berude all the local fauna. The power is out, so first on the agenda is getting the hydroelectric generator back up and running, and to do so requires cutting through the local watering hole. If you needed more reasons to love the Empire, then I present to you this beautiful scene. The Imperials have bellied up to the bar, which a commando is manning, serving drinks to the boys, all while the corpse of the original bartender is plopped up on the counter. Truly a sight to behold. Let's shoot the place up. Irritatingly, enemy corpses eat laser fire until the death animation has run its course, so bear that tidbit in mind. With the power back on, we can make our way to the secret base where we have the first serious shit fight of the game in the lobby. The Jedi engine, which originally powered Dark Forces, is a 2D engine, so two-dimensional levels filled with two-dimensional sprites, much like its contemporaries. However, it does have support for basic 3D models, which mostly gets used for Kyle's ship and turrets, which we'll meet later. But here it's used for pseudo 3D level design with this bridge crossing the gap between the upper walkways. The bridge is a 3D model, and as such is an entity occupying space within the level and not a part of the level itself. All sectors in this game have a definable floor, ceiling, and second altitude height. It's the latter of those three that makes the magic happen. The second altitude is a relative value to the floor height. Approaching one with a positive value from underneath acts as a ceiling, but approach it from above and it'll act as a floor. Combine that with a 3D model bridge and pow. Pseudo 3D level design at its best. A second altitude with a negative value is how they do water in this game. Anyway, the Dark Troopers must have been getting shithoused at the bar as well, because one of them just left his gun lying around. So we grab it and hightail it back to the landing pad, picking up an extra life on the way, courtesy of the power being back on. Our hull is a prototype weapon engraved with the initials MR, the signature of Moff Rebus, a gunsmith who's absolutely smitten with the Empire. He's barricaded himself in the Anote City sewer system, so we gotta go for a little swim to bring him into custody. Imperial probe droids are here, effectively an interrogation droid with good accuracy and no melee attack, but it explodes when it dies, so you should still keep your distance. Probe and interrogation droids drop power cell ammo when they die, so be sure to collect as much as possible for future use. There are tentacle monsters in the sewage, and they're packing 20 melee damage per hit, so be very mindful of that shit. We get the thermal detonator here, Star Wars speak for hand grenades. They're incredibly useful for dealing with that stupid training droid that only deals 1 damage per shot, but are hard as fuck to hit with blaster fire. Half the weapons in Dark Forces have secondary fire modes. The thermal detonator's primary fire causes the grenade to detonate on impact, and the secondary fire is your standard issue 3-second fuse. It's a legitimately good secondary fire that I never find a use for in Dark Forces' levels. Every other secondary fire is not great, ranging from completely defeating the purpose of the weapon to being just as dangerous to you as it is your target. As such, I have no button bound for secondary fire. Getting back on track, I hesitate to call this level a switch hunt in a water maze, as it's not much of a switch hunt or a maze, save for one area, but that is what it is. You've got 3 switches behind 4 doors that need flipping to raise the sewage level, and LucasArts is kind enough to have them in order. So door 4 is just for shields and ammo. Door 1 is why you wanted the secret night vision goggles back in level 1, as the way out is pitch black and loosely maze-like. You can just flip a bitch and walk right back into the central hub area after activating the switch in the Door 2 path, and the way out after the Door 3 switch is linear as all get out and impossible to get lost in. It's far from the worst water maze switch hunt in a 90s FPS. That dishonor still belongs to Redneck Rampage. And LucasArts would go on to make a much worse version of it in Outlaws. Anywho, we meet the Grands. They're the Bombermen of Star Wars games, always chucking nades at you regardless of what game you're playing. We arrive at Moff Rebus's hideout and he just lets us in. Like, he knows we ain't acting in his best interest, but he's just like, hey, fuck it, let's go, get me out of this fucking sewer, boy! So we take him into custody, and like all arrogant schmucks, he accidentally reveals some vital information without realizing it while ranting and raving about his weapon test results on Fest. So that's where we're headed to next. We're low on energy ammo, but that's fine because thermal detonators don't discriminate and take all the main trio to Pound Town, no problem. We meet the king motherfucker of this game, roof-mounted turrets, another use of basic 3D models. They're pinpoint accurate, have a decent rate of fire, deal 17 damage per shot with very little fall off over distance, and are rocking 60 health. Being the new enemy introduced in this level, they're littered all over the ceilings of the research facility like it's going out of style. Thermal detonators can be useful for clearing out some of the more closely packed turrets in open areas, as their blast radius is larger than you'd think. For the tight corridor fucks, rushing them works well if you have some cover in case of emergency. It's worth noting here that when your shields drop below 50%, a small amount of damage received will start bypassing them and hitting your health directly. The closer you get to 0% shields, the more damage will start ignoring them. We get the repeater here. Its rate of fire is slower than the E11, but it's damn near pinpoint accurate, has far less damage fall off, and has a separate ammo pool using power cells, the ammo we get from droids, instead of energy units. It has a secondary fire that shoots 3 rounds in a triangle pattern, effectively ruining the accuracy and rate of fire, which are 2 of this gun's 3 main selling points, so I never use it. Aside from standard keys, there's also code keys. Essentially a sticky note with some bullshit written on it, usually held by an officer. The bullshit in question is a 3-character code that, to the best of my knowledge, is not randomized, so if you've committed it to memory, which I haven't, you can bypass sizable chunks of some levels by ignoring the card and going straight to the input kiosk. After handling a fairly simplistic switch puzzle, we get our hands on a metal sample in this hourglass-looking doohickey. It's likely what we've been searching for, so it's time to book it back to the ship. This is the first truly challenging level of the game, and I was shocked I lived through it. The last time I took on Dark Forces with an N64 controller was 2 years ago with that ass-awful Switch Online N64 controller that showed up brand new with stick drift, necessitating a large dead zone to avoid ghosting inputs. I died once in this level in that playthrough, and was lucky it was only once. So I'll chalk this performance up to superior hardware, grab this extra life, and move on. Jan has identified the sample as Frick, a rare metal likely being used as armor for the Dark Troopers. She also tracked down all known sources of the metal and found an Imperial mining operation on one of the Frick-rich moons in the Gromus system. So our next adventure is to shut the facility down permanently by planting a sequence charge in the main reactor. Gromus Mines is a fun level, a good balance of fights in open areas and tight corridors with some platforming thrown into the mix to shake things up a bit. We get the plasma cutter here, the second weapon to use power cells. With higher per shot damage but a much slower rate of fire, it doesn't quite out DPS the E11, its damage fall off is also really bad too. Apparently this gun was OP during development, so it underwent severe nerfs. Personally, I think they hit it a little too hard, but it's still pretty beastie in close quarters. Its secondary fire shoots all 4 barrels at the same time and uses 8 rounds instead of 4, so I'm not a fan of it. The plasma cutter is the most ammo-efficient weapon in our current arsenal for dealing with Phase 1 Dark Trooper, the first of which we encounter right after planting the sequence charge. Phase 1 Dark Trooper are scary fucks. They're armed with a sword and shield, technically melee only, they deal 20 damage per slash, and they'll slice and dice your ass if they get you cornered. The shield isn't just for show either, they'll use it to reflect your shots right back at you. Basically a cross between Dark Link and the Terminator, which is a really good comparison too, because like every version of Dark Link, you can cheese the fuck out of these guys real easily. Just crouch down, aim up, and run backwards. Any shots he deflects will be sent up and over you, and he'll go down like a bitch in a matter of seconds. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now let's get out of here before this place goes sky high. Or fucking achieves escape velocity. Hot damn, Kyle, you were supposed to blow the mining facility, not the whole fucking planet, bro. Good lord. Anyway, Imperial officer turned rebel spy Crix Madine, who's been supplying us with information about the Dark Trooper project, has been found out, and is on his way to the Imperial Detention Center because putting the laser equivalent of a bullet in his head right then and there is apparently a bad strat, even though it really isn't. Darth Vader is displeased with the damage Katarn has dealt to the Dark Trooper project, but General Mock assures Vader that Katarn won't be a problem anymore as he's hired everybody's favorite orphan, Boba Fett, to handle business. The detention center is where this game starts to get mischievous. We have our first bout with landmines here. The Empire takes security and the threat of escape very seriously, and thus are planting bombs all over their own base. Once triggered, you aren't outrunning them, so chuck thermal detonators at them to dispose of them. Just about all the walls in this level are polished and freshly turtle waxed, so any shots that don't connect with people are gonna ricochet all over the place. Nothing I've mentioned thus far is why this is a mischievous level. No, not at all. This level is quite polite and courteous with its landmine placement, especially compared to its upcoming brothers and sisters. The bullshit begins once you think you've opened every prison cell and smoked all the enemies on every floor of the detention center, because no, you haven't. Early on in the level, we're introduced to walls which look like they've been hastily put together, Frankenstein monster style, and can be blown open with thermal detonators. What you're supposed to do is go to the top floor and send the elevator down a level. Run to the other side of the room into a dark corridor, blow a hole in the wall, blow another wall inside of that wall, open this door so you can jump down onto the roof of the elevator so you can go through this door the elevator doesn't stop at. And in this super secret hyper security area is where you will find and save Crix Madine. Crix divulges the remaining intel he collected before he was found out. The Empire is paying a mysterious underworld kingpin a fuck ton of cash to smuggle their raw frick to a secret robotics facility for refinement. One of many smuggling routes starts at the Ramses Head spaceport. So now we need to sneak aboard a known smuggler ship and plant a tracking device in the engine bay. Sneaking doesn't fucking exist in a traditional 90s FPS, so we just massacre our way through the station all the way to the engine bay. We got two new weapons back in Detention Center. The mortar, which is really good at killing people you can't get line of sight on, be it in high up places or up and over cover. And the landmines, which aren't really good at anything except for damage boosting the high places for extra lives. The primary fire is a 3-second time mine, and the secondary fire is a proximity mine, which is more wasteful. The AI can be finicky, and sometimes they'll just walk away, and now you gotta burn a thermal detonator to clear your own mine. A tragedy that could have been avoided if you just used a time mine. We also fight Gamorreans here, those axe-wielding pig fucks from Jabba's palace. Their axe packs 40 melee damage, so distance is your best friend. We place the tracker and then promptly excuse ourselves. I guess a bunch of dead spaceport staff and 2/3 of the ship's crew being fucking slaughtered is no cause for alarm, so they send the ship chock full of frick to the super secret robotics facility without a care in the world. Jan tracks the ship to Antivi and identifies the facility, so now we're going in with more sequence charges to level it. There's an extra life in the cave directly below us at the start that we can't get because 9 is the cap. For sanity's sake, you'll want to ease yourself off this ledge for the ice cleats. Moving around this level without them is pure ass. We have to use a series of conveyor belts to access the facility, so keep heading down the right side path until you hit the waterfall. Through the cave behind it, you can leap onto the conveyor belts. The blue key is just for the door back there as a shortcut in case you fall off. Of course, the entire ride is littered with turrets, some of which you can run past. There's a lot of rooms overlooking the conveyors, and you can crouch jump through the windows to restock on shields and ammo. My life was going real swell. I was unbothered, moisturized, happy, in my lane, focused, flourishing even. But then, some asshole put a crusher on the roof that erased my shields. Fortunately, pre-Disney LucasArts loves you and wants you to have fun, so they left a shield supercharge near the end of the conveyor belt section. The final window leads to a room with a fan control switch that clears the facility of toxic gas. Which is funny because this is the only level with toxic gas, so this button effectively makes the gas mask completely useless. After planting the 3 sequence charges, we get our first fight with a Phase 2 Dark Trooper. They're armed with a full auto assault cannon that deals 30 damage per hit with no damage falloff, and has a rocket launcher secondary fire. Much like their Phase 1 brethren, they're super easy to cheese. They try way too hard to lead their shots, and you can make them miss wildly just by tapping left and right strafe. I grabbed a weapon supercharge after killing him, which was a mistake apparently, because you can't go full nuclear powered rate of fire on a Phase 1 Dark Trooper, as that'll stun lock him into a perpetual state of deflecting your shots, and I nearly got cut to ribbons because of it. So yeah, if you end up in that situation, do yourself a favor and go light on the trigger. The shafts we've been making our escape in dump us outside onto the ledge we found the ice cleats. Just a little troll in case you missed them. Jan picks us up at the drop-off point and we... Kyle, the facility, not the whole fucking planet. That's 2 mass extinction events you've caused in this game alone, and you're the fucking good guy. No wonder you're always tripping over yourself and falling face first into the dark side. You have no fucking chill. Anywho, the Dark Trooper project is down to its final strike, that being the Arc Hammer, General Mock's ship and mobile Dark Trooper construction facility. As such, Mock has put a generous bounty on Kyle's head in an act of desperation to put an end to the chaos. We don't know where the Arc Hammer is, but Jan has been tracking smuggler ships that have made trips to Gromus and Antivi, and all roads lead to Nar Shaddaa, the criminal cesspit of the Star Wars universe and the last place anyone with a price on their head would want to be. So we gotta trudge through a topsy-turvy urban maze for any and all Imperial navigation devices and charts to hopefully get a lead on the Arc Hammer's whereabouts. Not many Imperial forces to be fought here, mostly nade-chucking Grands, axe-swinging Gamorreans, and the other king motherfucker of dark forces, the Trandoshans. I feel like I hate the roof-mounted turrets more, but these fucks have caused me far more grief than the turrets did this playthrough. Trandoshans are lizard bitches who sound like bird bitches and rock a concussion rifle, which is arguably the most unfair weapon in the game, both in the hands of the enemy and your own. It shoots a very fast, very invisible projectile that explodes with a very large blast radius. It doesn't matter if it hits the target directly or if the target's baby toe was the only bit of them within the blast radius, it's 30 damage regardless with no damage falloff. A Trandoshan can miss you by a good 15 to 20 feet and aw, we're sorry bud, 30 damage, cry about it. I took my first death of the playthrough at the hands of these fucks, and spoiler alert, it won't be the last. On the bright side, they drop the concussion rifle when they die, and it gives you 100 rounds of power cells, so feel free to go crazy with it from a safe distance. It consumes 4 rounds worth of ammo to deal 3 rounds worth of damage to everybody in its blast radius, so it's surprisingly ammo efficient. Just be careful when firing the concussion rifle up at higher levels, as it can be a very disagreeable weapon to aim. I was able to refund my life with a little platforming action, but that didn't fucking matter because I stubbornly destroyed my shields trying to concuss a Trandoshan through a window. And the rest of my health and shields were slowly withered away by concussions and grenades throughout the rest of the level, and I ended up concussing myself to death while trying to outrun a nade. Right at the end of the level.
Jan, I found an Imperial Navicard.
Those must be smuggler routes to the Arc Hammer. I think it's time to get out of here.
A good idea, acted upon just in time to be too late. Jabba's captured us. He's the underworld kingpin who's been handling the logistics of the Dark Trooper project, and no goods to be moved means no money to be made. So naturally, he's pissed about it and is gonna feed Kyle to his Kell Dragon in retaliation. Mission objectives: get your guns back, get the Navicard back, get your woman back. don't care for the video game trope of losing your arsenal. It always strikes me as the developer realized they gave the player the goods too soon, and instead of restructuring their game, they took the lazy approach of deleting the guns from your inventory. Dark Forces and Half-Life 1 are the only games I can recall off the top of my head that have done it well. And by well, I mean brief. It's just here to challenge you to fist Kelldragon to death, but right after that, kablamo, guns are back. Jabba's ship is landmined hell. They litter the floors like it's fucking Clay World pancake mines, they're around every blind corner and hidden in every pile of items. The worst of them are the ones behind doors because there's no way not to take damage from them. Some mines can be set off through walls without hurting you if they're around pillars or archways, so make it a point to run directly into those before crossing or going around them. Enemy-wise, it's all Bombermen, Axum Rangers, and Concussion Boys, so go light on the E11 use as you won't really be getting ammo for it. Also, when you raise this bridge, jump into this secret for shields so you can survive landmine damage boosting up to this one for 2 extra lives. Because pre-Disney LucasArts is nice and loves you and wants you to have fun, they give you some Kelldragon to slaughter with your guns for that sweet, sweet catharsis. Anyway, we recover the Navicard, rescue Jan, reclaim the Moldy Crow from the impound lot, and get the hell out of there. Jan's looked over the Navicard, and it's encrypted to shit, so we gotta go to the Imperial City, blast our way into the Security Operations Building, break into the Maximum Security Vault, and use the central computer to decode the Navicard. The Imperial City is where the concussion rifle shines. Tons of grouped up enemies primed for mass deletion. It's also our primary weapon for Phase 1 Dark Trooper now, as they can't deflect it. Annoyingly, I got caught in the spotlight for like the first time in my life, so that depressed me. There's a weapon supercharge on the 4th floor of the elevator fight. Grab it to make extra quick work of the Phase 2 Dark Trooper who guards the front door of the ISO building. Another impressive example of pseudo 3D level design. The ISO building is a stack of rooms above rooms above rooms. While Marathon 2's Hard Stuff Rules achieve this effect through soul-crushing brute force, Dark Forces does it by means of the Jedi Engine's layering system. By assigning sectors and sprites to layers, then loading those layers in and out as needed, shit like this is possible, albeit with some limitations. Walls still only support one portal at a time, so you'll never see a window like this above an archway like that. We get the final weapon of the game here, the Assault Cannon. A similar rate of fire to the Repeater and just as accurate, but it deals 30 damage per shot with no damage fall-off, coupled with its own ammo pool, plasma cartridges. This is the weapon we'll be using for turrets and Phase 2 Dark Trooper from here on. Its secondary fire is a missile with its own ammo pool as well that deals 59 damage or less than 2 rounds of primary fire, and has a big fucking blast radius making it very dangerous to use. I've heard people in the past cry about the vault in Imperial City, but like there's a map right here which is awfully generous for a true 90s FPS. We've got 6 doors blocking 3 rings and we can only set each door to unblock 1 ring. So the strat is to set all 6 doors to the top setting, come out the other side and set doors 1, 6, and 5 to the bottom and doors 4 and 3 to the middle. Kablamo, you're in the vault. Slap the Navicard into the central computer and its contents will be decrypted and dumped onto an 8-track tape that Jan can stick into the Moldy Crow stereo and will hopefully lead us to the Arc Hammer.
Kyle, something strange is going down over here. Get back here. I mean it. Oh no, Kyle, you better look out. I just saw...
Well, shit. Jan is nowhere to be found, and in her place is everybody's favorite orphan, Boba Fett. Yeah, he only has a really slow missile launcher, so the repeater in a little distance will knock him right the fuck out. Not dead though. Boba Fett is to Star Wars what Baron Samedi is to 007, so he'll be back. Just not in this game. Jan's okay too. She got made by some TIE fighters and had to smoke them. Jan got all the information we needed off the 8-track. For an added layer of security, the Arc Hammer is constantly making hyperspace jumps across the galaxy, and the only ship in the Imperial Navy that knows where it is at all times is Darth Vader's Superstar Destroyer, the Executor. The smugglers have been meeting up with and docking aboard the Executor, which then warps to the Ark Hammer, where the Imperials ferry the goods over themselves. The plan is to hijack a smuggler's ship at the Ergo fueling station, which is scheduled to meet up with the Executor, and then fight our way from the Executor to the Ark Hammer, where we'll sequence charge the shit out of it and make our escape in a shuttle. Welcome to Gruntville. Population officers, stormtroopers, commandos, Grands, Gamorreans, and Trandoshans. We start the level by hitting a button that moves the bridge from the smuggler's ship over to our dock. The rest of the level is all about moving it back. I thought you needed the blue key from this officer in the canteen, but while reviewing my footage, I never once saw the "using blue key" text appear. Turns out it's for a secret in an area I never Wolfenstein wall humped. Truly an unfortunate occurrence. There's a bit of a switch puzzle to rotate this bridge the right way, but it's nothing too confusing. The most troublesome bit about it is the fucking Trandoshans up high who will be pelting you the whole time, and the infinitely respawning stormtroopers and Grands down below. Just duck on the platform and they should leave you alone. Across the way is the bridge controls, so hit it and head back to the other dock. Much like Nar Shaddaa, I died right at the end of the level by being an idiot. I took a fight with a Trandoshan that 1, I was in no position to be taking, and 2, didn't fucking need to take in the first place because there was plenty of cover to just go around it. Truly tragic. With the smuggler's ship hijacked, we head for the Executor. If the refueling station was Gruntville, then the Executor is Stormtrooper City, so make like an NFL player and spam the concussion rifle while you fight your way to the Ark Hammer. We get a bit of an end-level fight against some Phase 2 Dark Troopers. Anyway, the Imperials shut down the ferrying of Dark Trooper materials once the shooting started, so we need to get that back up and running and catch a ride. Welcome to the final challenge, the Ark Hammer. While far from the hardest level in the game, that honor goes to Jabba's ship, this level breaks out nearly every dirty trick in the book. Shit tons of turrets around blind corners that'll drop you into a pit, landmines hidden around corners in the dark, landmines hidden in items, and a conveyor belt maze that fortunately they made too slow so you can just turn around and spam jump if you went the wrong way. As mentioned previously, the goal is to take out the Ark Hammer in the same fashion as Gromus and Antivi, with some planet-destroying sequence charges placed on exchange couplings. The first coupling is in the aforementioned turret pit, the second is guarded by stormtroopers, interrogation droids, and Phase 1 Dark Trooper, and the last is behind a connect-the-dots switch puzzle, also guarded by some Phase 1s. Naturally, being the home of the Dark Trooper project, the entire ship is crawling with a fuck ton of Phase 1 and 2s, and a lot of doors are locked until you kill all Dark Trooper in the area. Nothing too difficult, as they're still easily cheesable, and the concussion rifle and assault cannon are still your best friends. The closest I came to dying was right at the end when you need to take out 4 Phase 2s. Normally, you fight 2 of them and then take on the other 2 one at a time, but I somehow aggroed the third one while still fighting the first 2 and he backshanked the shit out of me. A truly scary moment, one I nonetheless survived. With everybody dead and the timers ticking away on the sequence charges, there's one last bit of business we need to handle, that being the General himself, Rom Mach. Seemingly obsessed with the honor and glory of combat, he's down bad to face us mano a mano in his personal suit of Phase 3 Dark Trooper armor.
It's been a long time since I've challenged a man to battle. I'm glad my opponent is so worthy.
Yeah, he goes down like a fucking bitch. I'll admit I won the coin toss as he seemed to prefer his plasma cannon over his homing missile barrage, but that honestly made the fight shorter, not easier. There's like 12,000 cubic meters of cover in this room once all the doors are open, so it's super easy to avoid the missiles if he spams them. You know, for being the piece of Star Wars media that invented the Dark Trooper, there sure aren't a whole lot of Dark Troopers in this game. Like, they only appear in 5 of 14 levels and total out at 32 across those levels, with 20 of them being in the Arc Hammer alone. Anywho, we smoke the real final boss, a random Imperial officer, steal his shuttle, and get the fuck out of there in the nick of time. It appears Kyle and Jan have learned their lesson and used diet sequence charges this time, as the Arc Hammer wasn't completely erased from existence. Darth Vader proceeds to spoil the sequel, then Mon Mothma gives us a plaque and gold star masquerading as a medal, and we fly off into the sunset. And that is Dark Forces. A commendable first effort into the FPS genre by LucasArts, and an all-around good, if not great, game. The total death count for the playthrough was 3. I honestly remember the turrets being the heavy-duty killing machines, but apparently the Trandoshans are the real MVPs. I guess that's what happens when you can miss your target by a nautical mile and still be awarded 30 damage for your troubles. That aside, I'm glad I got some practice in with my dear friend the N64 controller. This playthrough served as a good warm-up for what comes next.